Okay, are we recording? Hope not, because I am not ready. Let's ruin some takes, shall we? Let's do it. It's confession time. Breathe in and breathe out.
Honestly, I bet those LinkedIn bros are shaking right now. They're like, oh my God, this doesn't belong. Well, you know what? This is what the people want, so shut up. Let's do a little energy check. What's your number today?
Today I am at a 6. It's Friday and it's been a long week. But I'm here, I'm ready, let's go.
Yeah, I'm an 8 because it's Friday. So I'm like, I'm ready for the weekend.
You're literally on top of the world.
Yes, I am.
Okay, I love this for you. We're very excited because today we've got a very interesting and fun topic you've probably never heard about ever.
Never. So let's do it.
Because I'm actually sick of this, but today we're talking about AI, friend or foe?
Yeah, all jokes aside, actually.
Or nemesis.
I feel like nemesis is better.
All jokes aside.
Aren't you tired of hearing that AI will replace your job?
Or someone just saying, do something with AI.
Like, what? What do you mean do something with AI? Do I look like an AI agent?
But also I'm really scared about falling behind because yes, I think it can be helpful, but I also need clarity on where and when, because that's not my expertise. And I'm sick of being asked to be an expert in something that I'm not an expert in.
Yeah, and tired of being pitched AI as this magic solution for everything, as if it's going to fix your workflows, fix everything that you do just by adding a sprinkle of AI.
Yeah, and in what way? What does that mean? Sprinkle AI where? What workflow?
I've never done anything with AI, so I'm like, how am I supposed to just add it to my workflow and figure out where it should fit in my workflow?
First of all, you're a liar. You use AI all the time.
Okay, but is ChatGPT using AI in your workflow? I don't feel like it is.
Yeah, because I think that's what people mistake. It's it was used in, just use a chat for creation, but actually they're talking about integrating it into a workflow. But that's great. But what does it actually mean? Because without actionable steps or a bit more clarity on what workflow it is or how it can actually help or what time you're going to save, all of that. Otherwise, it's just buzzwords and jargon that honestly does nothing for me except make me feel a bit scared and that I'm not adequate at my job anymore because I'm not keeping up with this latest technology and I don't have 17 agents writing all of my content.
Also, is it our job to incorporate AI into our workflows? We're content people. We're not meant to do the tech part.
Exactly.
We need someone who incorporates for us.
Yeah, and that's why you work with experts to do it. We're not experts. We definitely understand the value.
Yeah.
And we understand where we don't want AI to be. But that's why we have to work with very expert people who actually know all about this. So,
So this week in marketing, we actually have a guest star.
He's not only our chief product officer,
He's also a secret Swiftie.
Not so secret. He's a father of 2 and a fun guy with a passion for AI.
He's our resident AI guy.
He's one of those builder brains that literally never ever stops, which is awesome and also a problem.
We love it.
Love that for him. Now, before we invite our special guest star, let's just say welcome
to Permission to Rant.
And we're back with Olivier, Chief Product Officer at Content2. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited to have you. You're our first official guest.
Yes, I'm the first one. Always good.
Obviously the most important. And we call our guests guest stars. So welcome. You are a star.
Already feels like a warm bath.
Oh, good. Okay, so first, before we get into our little debate about the wonderful world of AI, which I know we both love so much and we could talk about forever, I want to know a little bit about how you got into Content2 and your journey here. Because fun fact, you did not start as a product person, nor did you study product, right? You started in a different place. Where was that?
I did. So far as I know, there's no product university at the moment. I would love to be there, but typical consultant and finance guy in the beginning.
A finance bro.
Yeah.
For banks?
Banks, big banks, yes.
Why does that not suit you though?
Yeah, well, the suit didn't suit me. I think that was the part that I left behind. But I needed those years to find out that was not for me, at least.
Fair.
So, and I think maybe on the point of feeling very bored out at some point, I met Wisse, the current CEO of Content2.
Shout out to Wisse, our CEO, our fearless leader. We love him.
And he actually gave me a way out. So I think that's the...
From the finance?
From the finance part, yeah.
Really?
He looked for a smart person that could do something with data. So I think you can do that when you work at the bank. So I actually, that's where I sort of jumped ship and cut my salary in half and jumped on the startup boat, I guess, which was sort of the introduction to product, which I didn't know anything about at the moment.
Now you haven't looked back since. You're like
no
chief product officer.
Finally, no. I feel that I think for the last 3 or 4 startups was always good to work in product. It feels the most natural and most close to being an entrepreneur yourself with somebody else's money. And I think that's perfect for my risk profile, but still it enables me to build the things that I like and be creative in that.
Yeah, because you're one of those brains, I feel like. I used to work in products and I really see that, where it's like the curiosity and like the connecting of those dots.
Yeah.
And then you like never sleep. And you're always like thinking.
Always
thinking.
thoughts. Yeah.
I can always see the wheels turning, even over the lunch table. You're like still in autopilot mode. You're like problem solving something and you're just like eating a slice of cheese.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely should do something on the lunch behavior for sure. But thanks for pointing it out.
We're calling out the Dutch lunches, okay? Okay, I'll stop roasting you and your lunches. Now we'll get into our debate. We're talking about AI, and not in a good or a bad way. We're just kind of holding space for the situation that is AI, because right now, every time I open LinkedIn from a marketer perspective, I feel like either someone has just built 17 new agents and 17 new workflows and fired their whole team and they're so happy about it, or I see other people who are dealing with layoffs, or other people who are really promoting AI and seeing a lot of value in it. But it's really like a mess right now. Like, why do we feel like there's not much excitement anymore for AI? It's kind of like pressure to do something. But like, why is the landscape so volatile right now in terms of AI, in your opinion?
In my opinion, well, I think it's also where you look at and where you're reading things. And I also feel in general, LinkedIn has become a bit more Twitter-like in trying to, well, first of all, it's a lot of marketing. I know that I'm at a marketing company at the moment, so I had to get used to that a bit. But I also feel that it's the same when I was working in security. You try to bring in fear to sell, because people are like, oh, I need something from that because otherwise I'm missing the boat. I think also some of the things that
FOMO and fear.
FOMO for everything. But I do feel if you actually understand it, and when I'm reading through it, there's a lot of bullshit in it, and a lot of buzz, and everybody repeating each other and copy pasting what others did, and having even more agents to do stuff. But when you actually sort of pinpoint what they're doing, there's not much there. And I think people do take the freedom to use that in their favor. And I feel that we could really well, we have an obligation, I feel, also at Content to sort of make the honest story and tell you what's working and what's not. And I think all of them have some kind of a reason for doing it the way they do.
Yeah, especially those like solopreneurs or founders of one, because AI has changed things for them monumentally. If you're starting out, you can do a lot with very little resources, which is great. But like for teams like ours, or for marketing teams that we talk to, all this echo chamber, like everyone's saying the same thing, doesn't do anything for us. It just makes us feel, like I said, scared. Like there's this unseen pressure that next year something could change and we could all lose our jobs because AI is going to take over. But really, I don't think that's where it's going.
No, I think it will put even more emphasis on the expertise of people. And I think it's...
Say it louder.
A little bit louder than that. No, it is about the expertise of people. And I think we will see a trend where we actually focus a bit more on that. So it would be 80% of expertise and 20% of doing sort of plumbing work, which normally it was the other way around, where you do a lot of... I mean, I've now been in marketing worlds for over 12 months now, or 14 months, but I feel that there's a lot of copy pasting back and forth. I think there's a lot of things that we can automate there, but that's not new. And to me, AI is always used as sort of an excuse for automation, but automation is not new. It's been there for ages, especially if you work in product or tech. It's something you do all day. So in that sense, it's also looking at the workflow, as we constantly say. And where you can improve or make it more efficient. And I think that's not new. It's just using another technology to do so. Yeah,
I so agree, because there's always going to be new technology, and like change is constant, as we all know. And whether we like it or not, new technology comes and we can panic about it, or we can crazily just adopt it without thinking, or we can actually zoom out and say, how are we already working and how does this help us do things faster, better, save money, whatever it is. I really like what you said there about the plumbing. You always have great ways of visualizing. Like the plumbing work is like just how we execute the work and how things connect the dots. But like that novel story or whatever it is that marketer brain can do, or whatever, whoever is working, AI is never going to replace that. It's just going to amplify what you already do. And if it's bad, it's going to amplify the mess.
Exactly. And I think that's what we have been seeing over the last years, that people try to just, I don't know, scale that out and make more mass or more volumes of content that don't convert because everybody's doing the same thing. And I still feel that for some industries that it's fine. I mean, you see it a lot in e-commerce, and I think if you're writing a product page about smartphone covers, I mean, use AI for sake. I mean, that's okay. But I feel that we are also approaching an audience that has some sort of brand reputation that it's very sensitive about and actually wants to make that work. And I think there you can actually use it to protect it and focus more on the expertise of that and the creative side.
Yeah. So it can be an enabler for those, like, let's maybe low quality, but more like quick win content. Let's say it doesn't necessarily need like a human brain to really like go through everything. You need to generate something because you have X amount of things to do. That's fine. But if you want to have a real insight, a brand building initiative or whatever, where your reputation is based on your thought leadership and what you put out there, then AI it can be a risk if you don't do it properly.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I feel like what you just said, people layer AI into their workflow without really thinking about it, or they think that, oh, let's just layer it in there and this is great, everything's going to be fine. But then the output isn't good. And like, why is that?
And I feel like the first wave that you got is like everybody's very afraid, like, oh, damn, everybody's using these freemium accounts in my company. And even though we're not doing it, everybody's doing it anyways. And they're using our data in these free accounts. Models get trained on was like the first wave. And then I think the first response to that was, let's give everybody a ChatGPT subscription, which was like the worst decision ever, because the wave after is like people coming to us like, yeah, we first had a very centralized way of doing marketing. We had a single tone of voice. And then suddenly everybody started producing their own content with their own subscription, which completely made it inconsistent. And it only takes about 3-4 months to see that back online. It was like, oh, it's a big mess. There's no consistency in tone of voice anymore. And everybody made their own GPTs. And it's like, no people controlling that because it's.
And that thing, these marketing teams spend so much time before our ChatGPT came in. These teams were working so hard to protect that. And then AI came and just like enabled everybody, which can be great, but without any guardrails. And ChatGPT is just like initially like a yes machine. It's just like generating what you ask for. It's not reminding you of your brand tone of voice or that you're sharing privileged information or something.
And you get
like
sort
that.
of this dopamine shots that you actually produced something. Oh, it was so fast, and let's push it out because we can and see what happens. But I feel that afterwards we actually try to find a way back. And I feel also these marketers are very excited about using new technologies. And you sort of also find in the crunches, you find these people spending 80% of their time on prompt improvements while they're very good in marketing. Like, please, just do your work.
Yeah.
Because that's what you should focus on.
That's what the prompt is.
Because you see the other part slopping. So there's less creativity and less people working on that. So it's also finding the right form to use it and actually use it for your creativity, for instance.
Yeah, and to amplify it instead of actually replacing the parts of the work that you actually like. Like, focus on the marketing side and then find a way that AI can enable that, but not working on prompting yourself and reworking your workflow to suit the AI. Rather
you can,
AI
but I feel like you do need to find a sort of certain way in that it's either one or the other. And I think it's also being okay with, I think everybody said, we need to embrace it internally and it needs to be ours and we need to have the IP and whatever. I think it's fine to use experts to work with that. And I think even in SaaS companies, people say, oh yeah, well, we have a tech department, so they should come up with it. But then maybe over summer they help marketing out on some prompts and then they f*** off after summer with their roadmap and then marketing is stuck with the half-baked product. So it's like, okay, how do you actually put the emphasis on it? And that's what we try to do at Content too, actually. We also don't do everything AI. We do marketing specific and content specific help on how to approach that. And we also understand that human is still very important. But at the same time, you can also not overnight automate your whole team or whatever we're saying, oh yeah, let's, I don't know, remove 17 people and replace them with 17 agents. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Yeah. It's definitely not going to be consistent for sure.
Exactly. But it's like, we need to use it, let's say, like whether it's from pressure from leadership or from the market in general, or like just that sense that we're falling behind. And if we don't at least see what we can do with AI, then we are somehow just not going to keep up. And we're not anti-AI, like Olivier just said. Like, we believe in using AI in the right way with the human in the loop. But where do we see using AI? Like, actually, what's our advice in terms of like AI readiness for it in terms of your content workflow?
Yeah, good point. I feel that we're slapping AI on everything.
Yeah.
But it's mostly exposed. And I think that's also one of the points that we discuss often at the lunch table while I'm eating my funky Dutch lunch.
Called out.
Called out again. Is essentially that it's also showing where your workflow is broken. And I think that's what we saw in the beginning is like, you cannot just, I think the top down, like the CEO would say, oh, we need more AI, just put it in. But actually these larger organizations, especially, they don't want change, right? So you see that a lot, and we'll discuss it later. I feel as well on that they're running a lot of these pilots, but they're very isolated. So it's like the people don't want to change their way of working, or well, actually make their way of working structured. Then obviously it's not going to fly. We've seen clients that want to automate localization work, for instance, like that, but even their current review process is inconsistent, because if you ask a different person in the organization to review the same piece with the same tone of voice, it's going to be a different sort of rating on it. So if you don't fix that first, then the AI will never get the right context to do it properly.
So it kind of just like exposes all the things that, I mean, if an AI can't read your workflow, like your human probably wouldn't have done it in an efficient way either. So it's not about like changing your workflow to suit the AI. It's just the fact that AI is now showing you how many gaps there were in your actual workflow and how much work there is to be done.
Exactly. I do feel that there's a lot of efficiency to be gained, but you actually, the fun fact that what I learned is that it's mostly about the human behavior that needs to change. And it's a lot of change management, which is a dirty word back from consultancy, but it's a lot about that. It's about having discussions on, okay, wait, the way you're currently working. It's not about doing production. It's about how do you get to the briefing? How do you get to content in general? But that is as old as Contento's existence. It's about you can have a lot of content, but you have no plan up front or some kind of a content planning what you want to do. Then obviously it's very hard to just come up with ideas to do stuff.
Yeah. So if you already saw it as like something you kind of throw in instead of looking at content as a strategic function, you're already kind of on the back pedal. And then if you layer AI on top of that, what is it working with? Like terrible context for terrible output. Trash in, trash out.
Yes.
Which we love to say. So what do we mean when we talk about human in the loop? We also say human in the lead, right? What do we mean by that?
I think it's also approaching a bit the new terminology that people put out, right?
Yeah.
Before we
I thought it was ours, but it's not.
Well, we can make it ours again.
Trademark.
Trademark.
Human in the
loop. No, so I think the human in the lead is something we've been pulling out for the last few years. Is that for these larger clients, we also do the content management for them. So it basically means that we do everything content related, from the planning to instructing all the writers or translators to do their work properly, and also make sure that everything upholds for, let's say, clients that approaching 18 markets and doing a lot of content volume. I feel those persons are always the content in the human in the lead. We call them content managers, but actually they're in the lead of the workflow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to see, hey, the briefing there in time? Is the people actually coming up with the right pieces? Is the review process properly done, and is it published on time? And I feel we now call that human in the lead, but I feel those people will become more orchestrators in a sense. And I think that's the fancy word we're now trying to use.
The word of the month.
Exactly. It is also about finding only the moments where you actually need to interfere as a human instead of constantly managing. I always found managing in general a bit of a thing, because I'm a more typical manager. I like to coach and lead more than directly manage.
Manage gives me that like 8 arms kind of like vibe, that you're like stretched in all different places, managing a lot of different things. Instead, you should be like overseeing and coaching. Right?
Exactly. It's a lot about giving the right context to the right people, but not only the right people, but also the right agents. And if they have the right context, it's so much easier to just understand, hey, this is going well and this is not going well, and then interfering in that.
Yeah. So it almost goes back to the same sort of like tried and true editorial workflow standards of like, if you're hiring a writer, your briefing is so important, because if you're giving them no context onto what is a good piece of writing for you, or if you give them no tone of voice, give them no strategy, you're setting them up for failure. And like the review process, the editing process takes so much longer because you didn't do that upfront work. Now it's the same. AI has just like scaled that out and amplified that same issue, except 10 times if you're 10xing that AI everywhere and you're working with 15 agents instead of like 15 writers, then the mess is now like a giant garbage pile.
Exactly. And I also feel what you saw with some clients, they actually ask us to help us scale out over more markets to produce more volume, especially on the SEO content. And it's high quality work. And we could, even if we would do it only with humans, so apart from the AI, we'd push way more volume against their teams to review. And for instance, their team is too small to review so much content. So
yeah, it takes a lot of time to review content.
Exactly. And if you don't understand exactly the whole workflow, you can obviously sell a lot of production up front, but if the review process takes 3 months, you still don't make those deadlines. So
yeah,
for those clients, we try to come up with like, okay, how can we make the review process faster? And how can we do some pre-reviewing, also using some of the agents? But often in those things, you actually see the thing that I just mentioned, that not everybody's reviewing in the same way, or there's inconsistency in the tone of voice. You need to be formal and informal. That's stuff that's obviously very hard to review for anybody, right?
Yeah.
And I think those things you then actually get out, and then you try to make the whole process better. And I feel that's the way forward.
For sure. I think those like standardizing your content workflow, whether it's the feedback process, the review process from the beginning, like I always say that to people, because I hear that from teams a lot, like, oh, I'm working on a piece of content. I share something with like a subject matter expert internally for something about the content. But then I'm getting feedback on tone of voice from this guy who I'm asking about to check the facts and figures, not about whether I should say this or that. And I think that's something marketers also have to just always get better at, is that clarity and giving very clear guidelines about when and where you're supposed to give feedback at what stage.
Exactly.
And AI also needs that same structure for a workflow, same way humans do.
Exactly. And I feel with AI, it's even more important to have good examples. So we also saw that sometimes tone of voice is nice, especially if it's sort of being tweaked by 5 million people throughout the years. There's a lot of things that slop in, or it's the one from 2022. And like, okay, great.
Yeah.
But then basically the writers itself sort of moved on and they internalized some own tone of voice.
Yeah.
Often we actually have clients with a very limited tone of voice set, even these larger brands, but then the writers that we put on it actually shape that or something. But then always we do it backwardsly. It's like training, actually getting a style guide out of all the great hero pieces that are out there that they like and that they convert, and actually making that. And then you actually see a big difference between what they actually wrote down once. And then it's also about updating it.
For sure. I think it should be like a living document to your tone of voice, not like rigid. I know for sure mine is, we created it a couple of years ago and it's definitely grown, and we could definitely add so much to it, because saying something like, oh, we're conversational, what the hell does that mean? Like,
what I mean,
and context is everything. Like we said in a previous episode, we were like, you're hardly going to write an invoice email with like, hey, girly pop. Like, thank you so much. Here's a giant bill.
It could be fun, right? It might work to have
some brands really lean into that. But as well, so there's a bug in the platform. We're not going to be like, ha ha ha, fuck you.
No.
We have to keep that context. And AI sometimes misses those contexts when you have a generic tone of voice document and you're not clear about, okay, yes, we are conversational and fun, but there's a spectrum of how that works. On socials, maybe we like dial up the fun 10 times. On the invoice emails and those other, a little bit less.
Exactly. And I think that's what we have seen also in the style guides. It's very good, especially if these workflows become more structured. You cannot have a tone of voice document for every content type, right? So
yeah, exactly.
The moment we make one for blogs and one for socials, it's going to be different.
Yes. And I think for me, we have like just this pyramid of showing the spectrum of our voice. And I think that's super helpful. Yeah. But I'm also always open for a writer to really shape, because I want them to have their voice. And the writers with a real clear tone of voice that isn't ours, it's just theirs, are the people I want to pay to work for us. Because I don't want everyone to sound like Contentu. I pay them for their tone of voice. And if it's in line with who we are as a brand, then it makes sense. But previously I would have also, as a copywriter, been like, oh, I need to write in the voice of the brand. That's your job. But when you're paying a writer, you actually want their expertise, their unique tone of voice, their insights, and AI can never do something like that.
No.
But it can like enable you to be able to work with those writers, get the other stuff that isn't worth the time from those experts.
Push that out.
Yeah.
And I also feel that I think the word that comes up more and more is the authentic part.
Yeah.
I think it's always one of our words that we use
Big
at Contentu, right?
Yeah.
That we embrace. But it's also about, you want this authenticity not only in the brand, but also in the specific writer that you have that embraces the brand, but still has some authenticity. But I do feel this is also the part that will actually move on. If you would look at visibility in AI, it would be, and also in SEO, it's all about authenticity.
Yeah, being real. And I think that's continuously going to be a big thing for marketers in general, but all industries in terms of with the rise of AI and like as content by the kilo like can just be generated like nothing, then the storytelling that like marketers or people who can connect the dots, multiple narratives and be able to build out something with AI, they'll be the ones who are going to succeed.
Exactly.
Okay, so final question is, if someone came to you and said, we want to add AI into your workflow, what are like a couple of things that you would need from them or like expect for them to be ready to start adding AI to a workflow?
I feel that we have also fair play in the sense that we do a workshop often where we look at all their steps in their workflow and basically understand workshop. Yes. Book it. Look at their technology, the people that are in those processes from briefing to publication, and also where they feel the bottlenecks are. And often we can also pinpoint what is sort of low-hanging fruit that we can already resolve. It's also often they come in with a production question like, we want to use agents to produce way more content. So it's a production question, but then it's like, okay, but can you also create enough briefings to fix that? Or do you have enough context for that? Or is there any calendar behind it? So if
is the goal to create the content?
Exactly. And I think previously we would always jump on it like, oh, let's do kilos content and let's sell that. Now it's more about if we understand the client and what he actually wants to achieve. And sometimes it's about, the content's not performing, so we're going to do more volume. Okay, great. But how is your SEO strategy, or what are you actually trying to achieve? Which metrics are you trying to move? And then you can say, oh, you might not need that volume, but you want to basically do something else, right? Better quality content. And
you should spend some time working on your fundamentals before you go and scale that out, for sure. And I think we're really stepping into that strategic partner view instead of like, of course we can service people.
Yeah.
Which is great. We can give them what they need in terms of content, but we can also be an advisor and say, hey, I don't think that's actually the right goal. You don't need 20x time your content. You need to like fix the cracks in the foundation where the whole house falls down.
Exactly. And I feel that a lot of them are very focused on one pain point and without sort of holistically zooming out and looking at the whole, where we can actually push them, or not push them per se, but also sort of enlighten them a bit. And like, hey, you can also think around those lines and that might do,
I think
a better job.
That rigid thinking is seen across marketers in all sorts of ways. Like if you enter a problem or enter a situation with already defined narratives, like, oh, I have to stick to this budget. I'm going to find the cheapest version, whatever. Oh, I need to scale with AI. But okay, take a step back, zoom out. Is that the problem, or is it that your audience isn't doing what it needs to do? Your messaging is inconsistent, whatever it is.
Exactly. And they mostly try to fix it all at once. So they're going to say, all right, we need one agent and it's going to do 18 markets and automate the whole marketing. It's like, okay, great. But what can we do tomorrow? And let's say a small step. And and often it's also for us to show value in a very quick manner. So 2 or 6 weeks, and always try to scope. So the 6 weeks is always like the maximum project that we do. And we need to bring value in that. And it means we kind of squeeze the scope until it fits that 6 weeks. It also means that we can actually show you results. And I think that's also what gives us the second project. But it's also for the client to see, oh, if I take a small step and fix this small piece, I can already see it running faster.
They see the steps in front of them then. And
otherwise they get an agent, which they don't know how to imply or within the workflow, and nothing's going to happen. And that's, I think, to the point where all these pilots fail. It's like, great, we made the money on the pilot. Amazing. But it's not a long-term relation. And content with most relations are multi-year relations anyway. So
yeah, we're trying to see how we can enable like your whole marketing operations, not just one single piece, maybe the briefing stage or one other piece. We try to look at the whole workflow. So I agree. But we're going to move on. Nika's going to come back. She's got a very fun round and I'm going to step back. But thank you so much for this debate. I really enjoyed it.
Likewise. Thanks so much for having me.
And we're back. So We've been hearing a lot of stuff about AI in general in the world. And at this point, I really don't know what to believe anymore. I'm not sure what is fact, what is fiction, what is a myth. So I called in the big guns, our AI guy. So this is the situation here. I'm going to give you 3 prompts. And then you have 30 seconds to give me your honest take. Only 30 seconds. Are you willing to take on this challenge?
Sure, if you keep the timing, because I'm very bad.
You know it. 95% of AI pilots fail to reach production. And Go.
Yeah, that's very logical if you actually only do a pilot because of just slapping AI on something. Obviously, if it doesn't have any sort of ground, sort of top down, or any CEOs actually also playing around with AI, etc., it's not going to fly. You made a pilot, it works in that instance, but nobody's going to adapt it because, I mean, people are not taking it along. So it's good to showcase that you do something with it, but people don't change their behavior.
And stop. Very good. Very nice.
Right.
You did stay in the 30 seconds, so
All
we're
right.
very proud of you. Okay, next statement.
Ooh.
Ooh, how are you feeling? It's okay.
Excited.
Yes.
Let's do this.
Okay, AI speeds up content, but teams are still blocked. Permission to rant.
Yeah, you can push a lot of volume with AI for sure, but if you don't fix your workflow, I think what discussing with Penny as well is it's not going to fly. You just create a lot of content, but teams cannot process it, or it's not going to do whatever you want it to do. So that's
Nice.
short, right?
That was short and sweet, just how we like it.
Doesn't say anything, right? But
Okay, now what everybody has been fearing. AI agents will replace your content teams. Let's go.
no, they will amplify it, right? So it will help you scale it out if you do it properly. People will focus on the things they're good at and that they like doing. I think that should be the aim. Otherwise, you're stuck with shitty agents and people are not happy with what they do. So I think that's the biggest thing that we actually push for at Contentum, because I think there it adds true value.
So your job is safe, people. Don't you worry. You can sleep at night. So don't you feel so much better now?
Oh my God. Can I just say that has quietened a lot of my anxieties around AI, and I get to talk to him all the time. So I'm sure our audience is feeling a little bit of relief. I hope now, at least.
Guys, if you have problems with AI, just slide into Olivier's DMs. He's ready to, take away your fears.
Yes.
Show you that AI is your friend, not your nemesis.
He is one AI guy who actually believes in the value of humans in the loop and in the lead, and he will help you also break it down to your leadership or your stakeholders or whoever it is, that AI is not something you need to be afraid of, but something that you can work with to 10x your output.
Yeah, we love to see it.
So yeah, if there's one thing that this episode has made clear, it's that you are not behind when it comes to AI or technology.
You are safe. AI is not going to steal your jobs. Just make it slightly easier for you.
Maybe you are behind on some fundamentals. So if that's what you're worried about, if you're worried about AI, I would start there, because that's what AI is going to expose, all the broken, missing pieces of your puzzle. So yes, with that, thank you so much for ranting with us. We'll be back.
Always love it. And XOXO, go drink water.
Close your Slack. You've done enough for today.
You're safe.
Touch grass.
Bye.
Bye.